So a new book is taking a deeper look into how artificial intelligence is redefining society. A human algorithm argues now is the time to instill human values and ethics into robots and other forms of AI. Author Flynn Coleman joins me now to explain. You say we're at the end of the digital age and on to something else. Explain that part, would you?
So there's a lot of different things that people are calling this current age, the information age, the digital age, and we know we're on the precipice of something new. So when we're inventing technologies that could potentially be infinitely smarter than we are, we're, on some untraveled territory here.
So AI is redefining. We have self-driving cars, we have Alexa, we have all this stuff going on, and I feel like we never really understand what it was that was transpiring with this technology until it's kind of done. How do we know what we're doing with AI?
It's such a great question, and I think AI, we've had technological change, of course, throughout human history, but this feels really frightening to a lot of people. Of course,
it's so fast.
It is
we
so
used to
fast.
get technology, have
Exactly.
little time to adjust, but now the pace of change and the pace of innovation is just really quick.
It's exponential. We had about 40 years to assimilate into the previous information age, and now we're going to not have nearly as much time. And I think that's what's weighing on a lot of people. And it is an exponential hockey stick growth. So we do need to be making, we're at a crossroads, and we really need to kind of figure out what's the future we want to leave for our children and our children's children.
So we talk about instilling some sort of values or ethical component into AI, and I wonder how we do that. And then I also think immediately, okay, now we're going to argue about whose values and ethics are we trying to instill in this. Tell me some of the things we need to be thinking about.
It's such a great question. So I'm a human rights lawyer, and of course these are, they're new questions in terms of new technologies, but they're really the most ancient questions we've ever asked ourselves. What does it mean to be human? How do we live together? How do we protect our planet? How do we, build a better future for the next generation? And of course, some people think that values are incommensurable, so we can never decide on which values. But what we know today is we need a more diverse group of people building these technologies. So there's a lot of things we can't do.
Boy, that's a good point.
But what we can do is be more inclusive and have a more diverse set of lived experiences across racial lines, across different gender, abilities, ages, socioeconomic status, cognitive diversity from different parts of the world. And that's one of the things we can do to build more social justice and more ideas about value. So,
well, how do we get that to happen? Because we're having trouble even now getting, businesses, let's use Facebook as an example, to be straightforward with us, to understand what they're doing. It's just a few people making a lot of decisions that affect a global future. How in the world do we inject diversity and different lived experiences into these businesses?
It's a great question, and of course no one of us is going to get all the way there, but we know that we need to try, and that we have this moral obligation to have this moral courage to do it. And there are a lot of brilliant people working on these issues across different silos. One of the things we can do is work in a more interdisciplinary way. So have people from sociology, human rights, people that know about ethics, all working together to have these, what David White would call courageous conversations, because AI is going to affect every sector,
everybody,
every industry, all of us, and we have a moral obligation to leave, the world better than we found it.
Well, so does that suggest more government oversight or involvement in this? I mean, I don't know how we make businesses do this unless we have requirements.
It's a great question, and regulation, accountability, and transparency are part of the answers. But of course, one of the things that's tricky about AI is sometimes AIs come to the decisions that their human developers don't even know how they came to them. So we have a lot of precedent. We've worked on these with cybersecurity before, but we're going to need to be reconfiguring our societal structures. As just one small example, the growth profit-only model is not going to get us to that purpose that we need. So we have a lot of work to do.
Such a good point. How do we get regular folks like me who just use technology, I have no idea how this stuff works, I'm just using these services and whatnot, to start thinking about this stuff so that our voices can be heard?
It's such a great question, and part of why I wrote A Human Algorithm was to bring that human perspective, because I believe we all have a voice that matters, we all have a story to tell, and we all should have a stake, because we are all stakeholders in the future. So the first thing to remember is that our voice matters, and that is a very, very common thing. Oh, this is over my head, or oh, I don't understand this. And if you don't feel empowered and like you understand what's going on, I didn't do my job with this book, because we're all part of the story of the future, and we all have a voice that matters. So it starts with becoming educated and understanding that I deserve to be in this room and I have questions. And you know, no single one of us has all the answers, which is another big premise in the book, but together, our collective intelligence, collective imagination, working together, we can do a lot.
Has a better chance. How did a human rights lawyer get involved in artificial intelligence?
I've been working at the intersection of human rights and technology for my entire career. I actually worked at a place called the Genocide Prevention Center many years ago, where we were looking at using technology for humanitarian use. And while we were able to make some strides, I was still frustrated that we weren't able to take more preventative measures. And I could envision a future where we might be able to use these tools to make the world a better place. And so since then, I've spent many, many years thinking about this intersection. And of course, now that means artificial intelligence in all its forms.
It does indeed. Thank you so much. Can't recommend the book highly enough. It'll be a great starting point for all of us.
Thank
but bless
you
you for the
so
work
much.
that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Flynn's author event is tonight at 7 p.m. at Third Place Books in Lake Forest Park. We'll have that info on our website as well, and we'll be right back.